Hello, you're playing The Waiting Game. This is the show where we take an upcoming video game, then suggest 5 things to fill the time between now and release day, as if you're not just going to play Grand Theft Auto anyway. This week we're talking Titanfall. In case you somehow missed it, Titanfall is the first game from Respawn, the studio founded by former Infinity Ward members Jason West and Vince Zampella. It's a multiplayer-only FPS in which 2 teams of pilots battle it out, aided by powerful weaponized mech suits and some fancy mantling abilities. The game map is populated by dozens of AI characters, the idea being to let players enjoy staying alive through multiple kills, without each one demanding some poor sap the other side of the internet gets put down. These AI characters are affectionately referred to by Titanfall's makers as popcorn enemies, and now I'm hungry. All in all, Titanfall looks set to bring some pretty unique things to the table, so what can you sink your teeth into before it lands?
Looks like we got enemy contact.
First up, we're taking a little nostalgia trip with Shogo Mobile Armor Division. Released in 1998, Shogo broke FPS ground by mixing missions undertaken on foot with the ability to drive honking great mech suits. You play as Sanjuro, a commander in the United Corporate Authority Army embroiled in a bitter turf war for the planet Cronus. Futuristic! You may not be able to mantle like in Titanfall, but it's nice to get a look at the kind of game that paved the way for it. We've actually got 2 games to recommend you this week, and the second of those is Left 4 Dead. Now I know, what has a zombie apocalypse got to do with a military shooter stuffed with mechs? Well, the answer lies in the structure. Control and Assault is one of Titanfall's main modes, where 2 teams duke it out for control of 3 hardpoints, before then moving into a super challenging epilogue phase, basically a race to get to a dropship within a time limit without getting offed. This super competitive finale is very similar to the nail-biting set pieces ending each Left 4 Dead campaign, and you should use those as much as possible to learn how to cope under that pressure. Left 4 Dead is also crammed with the aforementioned popcorn enemies, though hopefully in Titanfall none of them plan to vomit all over you. Now, you can't talk about mechanized warsuits without at least mentioning Battletech. It's just not polite. Originally launched in 1984 as a tabletop, Battletech has since branched into a massive universe of comics, anime, and over 100 novels. Central to these are mech warriors, soldiers who operate powerful 30-foot mech suits. Now, when playing as a mech warrior in Battletech, you have to be careful not to overheat. Similarly, while you're in one of Titanfall's eponymous mechs, you are a much bigger and more valuable target, so the more you can train yourself to be mindful of your weaknesses ahead of time, the better. Sometimes though, in order to really appreciate something, it's important to know where it came from. Titanfall is the latest in a long series of mech science fiction, which was basically kicked off by H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And no, we're not talking about the Tom Cruise movie. Given it was first published in 1898, it's kind of incredible War of the Worlds is still relevant to a video game, but the story of aliens descending on London in giant war machines has nonetheless effortlessly endured for over a century. The sense of awe and terror generated by these machines is echoed by the tactical importance given to the Titans, the discussion of which takes up a good amount of your radio contact as you run around the game map.
Okay, your Titan's prepped for launch. Call it when ready.
It might be a bit out there, but War of the Worlds is a really rewarding read, and besides, how many invasion stories do you know that start in rural Surrey, England? Okay, we're 4 recommendations in now, and you know it, and I know it. We're mostly excited for Titanfall because it's giant robots kicking the crap out of things, and for that, you should watch Pacific Rim. It may have more of an Eastern influence than Titanfall, and the giant robots may be bashing the crap out of giant sea monsters rather than other giant robots, but I'll be damned if I'm recommending Michael Bay's so-called Transformers movies. Each of Pacific Rim's mechs, or Jaegers, is controlled by 2 people joined by a neural link. The relationships between these people and their machines form an important part of the film, and it's these kinds of relationships Respawn hope to weave seamlessly into the competitive gameplay of Titanfall. Also, Idris Elba is awesome. Seriously, I would.
Today we are cancelling the apocalypse!
And with that little confession, I'm out of here. No release date yet for Titanfall, but hopefully those recommendations should be enough to keep you busy for a bit. If you fancy picking up any of the recommended items from this episode, those nice people at Amazon have made a list for you. Just follow the link on screen now. I'll be back next week, but in the meantime, feel free to make your own recommendations by leaving a comment or tweeting with the hashtag GSWaitingGame. I'll see you next week.